everyone! Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Murray Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry coming to you from two socially distant studios right now at the edge of the Great Red Divide. You can find all of our previous works at Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com, all podcast platforms, YouTube, and proudly part of the Demcast USA network. And don't forget about Heartland Mamas on Rolled on independent radio. Murray,
Yes,
today
Heidi.
we found out from the CDC that you and I, as both vaccinated people, maybe can be in the same studio again. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, not that I don't like to be with you, Murray, but my husband's got cancer, and I worry about being around people, especially in close quarters. And I do everything in my power to protect him because I kind of love the guy, you know. So I was just wondering if you saw this thing because the CDC thing came out. We were just on Ben Jarofsky's show just prior to our show starting, and this information came to me just like between our two shows. And I thought, well, that's interesting because we planned on talking about Maskholes again today and COVID and my experience with the Seneca Police Department in Seneca, Illinois. And just one officer.
Heidi's always making trouble. I just want to
I
say, Heidi is
am not.
always making trouble.
Not true, but I did wonder if I was going to get arrested for, for. I didn't call him a maskhole. I wanted to.
She's so naughty, folks. She's so
Well,
naughty.
I just think that when you're in a place of public employ and we're paying your salary, that you should follow the guidelines that are there to protect and serve your community. Isn't that what's written on the side of your squad car? Just saying. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
And
And
Heidi,
Heidi's
you bring
opinion on
up
public servants, you know.
what you talk about is what we really want to dig into today. And, a part of that is the new advice from the CDC, the new guidance, but also the pressure that's being placed on people who have been through a lot in order to rejoin.
Yeah.
Rejoin society. And I think we talked a little bit about all the huge uptick in the mass shootings that happened fairly shortly after everything went back to normal. And we had, what, last weekend or the weekend before, there was like 27, I don't know. And we said the only thing that's different is that, quote, society opened up, right? So there's this additional pressure. And now we're seeing it again. I know as a mask wearer, I got crap for wearing a mask, numerous irritations and aggravations for wearing a mask. Now we don't have to wear masks, but I don't think I'm ready to give up that mask yet.
I, you know, I was only really given a lot of crap for wearing this mask. My thanks, JB mask. and and you know me, Marie, I'm somewhere between come at me, bro, and get out of my way.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For
um,
sure.
because I was very appreciative of our governor, for taking a really strong stance and early mitigations, which I think saved tens of thousands of lives here in Illinois because we are a very populous state, and our population is concentrated in very small areas. Where we've got a lot of corn and cows in between huge amounts of people, and by putting the mitigations in place early, I think it saved us from spreading it early on while we could get a handle on things, why we could understand how to treat this, why we could develop a vaccine, and why it wasn't fun last March. I mean, my business was shut down March through the middle of June last year. That wasn't fun for me, but at the same time, it probably saved a lot of lives, especially people like my husband with cancer. And, we had to do what we had to do, and I have no regrets and lots of
And
gratitude.
now, okay, so I guess for me, this big this article came to light, and it expressed a lot of what I had been feeling, and it is in Motherboard from Vice by an author by the name of Shayla Love, and it's a fantastic article. And Nate Silver had commented that people who are still wearing masks are making this big political statement. If you listen to any of the news that
Drivers
isn't,
are not political.
mainstream or progressive. That's all they're talking about is Joe Biden is sending such mixed messages. Joe Biden is sending. You don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated outside. He's outside. Why does he have a mask on? And that filters down, as we talk about so much, to the local levels. Oh my gosh, it's the big, huge rage on the conservative side that Joe Biden still wears a mask outside when he doesn't need to.
It's
Why?
out
He
of
should be
respect for the
sending
people
the
around him.
message. Thank you. He should be. They say he should be sending the message that that everything is fine and go back to normal. Well, guess what? Everything isn't
Not
fine
fine.
yet. And
You know,
it may very well be fine, but it is still emerging. And there are still a lot of things that we don't know,
we don't know.
including the fact that there is now another Brazilian variant that has been found in the United States that's called P1.1.1, which is even more dangerous. And the country of skies has a 90% vaccination rate. In the last 2 weeks, their cases have tripled, and it's because of this variant. And
Yeah.
they're all vaccinated. So, it is still something that each individual person should decide for themselves what their risk level is, and we should respect whatever that decision is.
Well, I think there's a lot of ways I look at this. I think about the people that I talk to that go, I sure didn't miss having rotavirus last winter, and I sure didn't miss having
The
influenza last
flu,
winter.
a
Yeah, I
cold.
sure didn't miss having a cold last winter, and this is people on both sides of the aisle. I think I'll wear a mask again next winter because I really don't want to get sick. I hate being sick every year. For me, because I used to sing at church a lot, I used to lose my voice every year just before I had to sing on Christmas Eve. And oh, I hated that. And I want to say that it happened probably 6 out of 10 years, where I had no voice at all. And I really hated being sick like that. I hate being sick, and I'm so rarely sick that I'm a big stinking baby when I am. So I really don't want to. I don't want to get sick. So yeah, I might be one of those people that next
And
winter. I mean, I'm always walking around with hand sanitizer. You know me, Marie. I'm like,
yeah.
I cannot eat my dinner. Dinner is served. We're at a restaurant. I can't eat it until I get up from the table, go wash my hands, and come sit back down because that's just how I am. I've always been like that, and I think that's a lot of reasons why I don't get sick very often.
And it's
I've always
funny because we have seen a dramatic decrease in the number of flu cases.
right,
This was the least amount of flu cases on record since we started recording this.
freaking
Um,
awesome. Bad enough
and we had
for
less
flu.
deaths from the flu because people were taking precautions. Now, that doesn't mean we should lock everything down, but it does mean that some of these things, I think, can become our new normal, and they should be. Even Dr. Fauci said there's potential for mask wearing to become a seasonal thing. They do it in Asia all the time.
All the
As
time.
flu season starts, everyone wears a mask. It
All,
is
all my Asian
not
friends. All my Asian friends are like, yeah, we've been training for this all of our lives,
right,
So, all
and
my
they're
Asian friends that came from outside of the United States, the ones that were born here are just like the rest of us. Oh, who needs a mask? Who needs to wash their hands? We've assimilated them into our culture of stupidity. So,
But I think something else that this article addresses is, Nate Silver had made this whole point about it being a political statement and get out there, jump in the deep end, just go back. But think about how many lives we've lost in the United
yeah.
States, right? So we have what, 300? How many? I always get confused with the last zero. What's our population in the US?
Oh, Marie, you're going to ask me that right now. Hold
Off the
on. I'll
top of
go.
my head, I can't remember it. Okay. But we have
Yeah.
lost 500,000 people to this. And I'm betting that all of those 500,000, okay, no. 90% of those 500,000 had at least one person in their life who was devastated from this. Not to
Oh,
mention the devastation that happened through families, through watching loved ones get sick. Guess what? Those are very real emotions, and those are things that didn't get an opportunity to be dealt with. And as we're going forward, we are starting to understand. We were talking about on Ben's show earlier about the Biden jobs plan, and that's why the health plan is so important. That's why the family plan is, because it increases funding for mental health assistance, for counseling, for therapy, because we all have been through 5 years of gaslighting, a pandemic, and lockdowns, with mixed messages coming from every direction. It's no wonder people are hesitant. Jumping back in is not the solution.
no, I think about the summer that we have planned ahead. And, with me being a horse trainer, we had no show season last year and no summer camp season. And now we know that we're going to have a county fair and a state fair season, which is really weird. The thing well, really cool. Actually, we're super excited and really prepared for it. But the thing that I think about is I know I'm vaccinated. I know most of the children I work with are not vaccinated. I don't, the parents are kind of a mixture. Some are, some aren't, some will, some won't, you know? And even some of my adult writers are kind of in this same boat. How do I know that the people I see walking around without masks are vaccinated? Or are they just mask holes? Because they've been walking among us now for the last year.
Exactly. We have been fighting mask holes for a year, avoiding them, leaving places where they were, and now all of a sudden people don't have masks. You're like, are you friend or foe? I feel like you should be carrying some sort of giant sword. Friend or foe? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that is really weird to kind of grapple with. And what else is really weird is, social interaction, right?
Yeah.
I have boys, and they haven't had very much social interaction, and all of us have been pretty okay with that. But to watch it begin again is just so perplexing. Seeing school go back and in person and seeing activities pick up. We went to our son's National Honor Society program on Tuesday, and it was more people than I have been around in over a year. And it was spaced out, four space, two people, two chairs, which was fine, but there were still probably 50 times more people than I've seen in one place in a really long time. And I became uncomfortable with that. I started to go, and you know how I don't like people. That
I
used to be,
know.
that humans, I don't like humans. That used to be how I wouldn't have even batted an eye with that space. Now
Now,
it's claustrophobic.
you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, Murray and I went around to interview and talk to and meet and see presidential candidates in 2019 for the 2020 race. And a lot of them were in hugely packed areas. And I do have a little, I wouldn't say a little agoraphobia. Once in a while, it depends on if I have to do public speaking. I have to really steel myself. The worst was when I had to knock on doors and talk to people face to face. I'm like, oh, anyway. But I would wait in to go, get a picture with the candidate or ask them a question, and Murray would be gone. And I think the most infamous one is the Joe Biden adventure we took in Davenport, Iowa. And I look around, Murray's just gone. I'm like, where the hell did she go?
I
And he's
took
like across the
pictures.
room, just waving across the room.
Okay,
You couldn't do
I,
it.
I couldn't do it. I am so,
No.
and when there's too many people, so again, I'm there and there's people, and I'm kind of looking at both sides, and I can't imagine the overwhelming, we've talked about the prisoner shock, right? When someone who's been in a county jail or a prison comes out and they
Yeah.
go to get things the first time, it is often extremely overwhelming
Yeah.
and terrifying, because you have limited choices, limited colors, limited smells. It's all the same, that you become you become conditioned to that being your environment. And when you go from something like that, or quarantines or small gatherings, to an auditorium half full of people and bodies, and is overwhelming. And so, one of the women in the story, and I can attest to it, sounds exactly like my own two kids. I took them to Pete's Market, where they have all these amazing international foods, and we cook. And
Hmm.
I brought them, but it was really the first time they'd been out in almost a year, like to a
Yeah.
place, and they freaked out. They had no idea. They were like, because it was just incredibly overstimulating. And
Yeah.
I think that people feel that way, and we have to be patient with ourselves.
I think so. But we can be patient with ourselves. The Maskholes were not patient for any of this because to them it was political. And I know that at no time was my mask except for when I wear this mask. JB. um except
Why
when I
do
wore
they
that
want
was
us,
it
Heidi?
was never political for me.
Why do they want us to take our masks off now?
I think to that no, I'm just guessing because I know some Maskholes personally and I stay the hell away from them, but it's a power play for them. It's proving I'm serious. This is like proving that Trump is superior. I'm making you take your mask off. Seriously.
Is
Seriously,
that what
Marie.
it is?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
what
a
it really
it's a power
is?
play. Yep, it's a power play. And
I
the fact that I will choose to wear mine in public shopping, uh maybe I will not wear them in my barn anymore, but I will make people tell people that are not vaccinated, including kids, that you have to wear yours. And when I'm working with children, I will wear mine because I'm respectful for them. And I do know that we have the UK variant here in Marseilles, Illinois. I know some of my students have it right now. And we're not sure how that affects the Pfizer vaccine, which is what I had. And I don't want to get sick and I don't want to bring anything back to Stan, who's my dear sweet husband of 40 years. And his retirement has not been great. He's been sick since he retired in 2015 for a lot of reasons. I mean, the man is of prostate cancer in recovery from that. He is had three major back surgeries. He's had so many things happen to him and was forced into retirement early. The last thing I want to do is lose him now to COVID because I wasn't careful enough. Somebody around him was careless with his health because I realized to the mask holes, his health, his life is not important. To mine, it is. It's very personal and very important. So that's where
and
I fall down on this.
I think you're really right. And I think we talked about this right before we went on. As a nation, have a broken social contract. It was never valid or equal, and it is
Yeah.
glaringly unequal now. We see that in everything from the inequity of our education to from this pandemic to the inequity of our wages. Everything became glaringly apparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I get kind of frustrated. Okay, I get really frustrated when you
Uh-huh.
hear these folks out there saying you need to take your mask off and go out to dinner and go to the movies, and these
I don't.
mercenary capitalists,
I
and
don't.
that they're the same ones saying they can't get people to work. Well, maybe if you didn't have a shitty job and you paid better and it was a safe environment, people would
Mm-hmm.
want to come to work. But again, we are all just commodities. I think the real reason behind why they want us to take the masks off is because the only understanding of life that they have is money,
Yeah.
capitalism, success, idealism, right? That's what
Yeah.
we pride in this country. That's what we feed our kids:
Oh
exceptionalism,
my gosh.
superiorism. We
Yeah.
learn in history about billionaires, not necessarily about those who shaped our nation. So you talk about it all the time, the Kardashian world, and it is. It
Yep.
is it is about
Society.
me and what I can have. So when you have
Society.
people who don't want to take that risk, who are choosing to still be safe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
don't get on them because of that, right? Like let them be who they are and who they need to be, because I'm going to guess that we're the ones that are going to be alive when y'all catch the second wave and get sick as fools. So go ahead, die. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of
I
dying. I'm
told
just
you
smarter. I
it
don't
is
need to have a forced error,
it is a type
unfortunately.
of ethnic cleansing. They are cleansing themselves from the gene pool because There's no excuse for not taking every precaution you can to preserve your own life and safety, health and safety. There's no excuse for that unless you want to ethnically cleanse yourself from the gene pool. And that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like when you bring up this ridiculous um, U.S. exceptionalism, because we're not exceptional. We are just the same as every other human being that walks the face of this earth. It's just by sheer dumb luck, genetic weirdness, that we were born in the place and the space that we are and who we are. It's
And we
we
see
have.
we see worldwide how the United States is at the bottom in almost every category, from maternal wellness and health to education to energy. We're at the bottom, and yet we still keep pretending. The mask holes still keep pretending that we're the greatest.
But those are the hairy bubbas, Murray.
Yep.
We just were talking to Ben. Dennis asked about the hairy bubbas, and I said, three places Heidi goes and hangs out: car show, tractor pull, county fair. That's kind of hairy bubba land. And because I'm kind of running that circle, these are people who just think it, God and guns are the people that will carry an AK-47 and a Bible and never have opened their Bible. They don't understand. But that's the Harry Bubba mentality, and you can't. I don't know how you get around that, because I think if anything, the last 5 years have shown us is that some people are going to double, triple, and quadruple down on that stance of whoop ass, white and right is might is right or whatever, and that the Confederate battle flag is really a sign of being country and rebel and whoop ass, and it's like, no, it's a sign of treason. So I don't know, Marie. I'm just like, I'm so over it right now, and I'm kind of dreading now going back out into public, because I do have to go run some errands later today, and but planning to wear my mask, because I am just so flipping done with people who just don't care. They don't care if I live or die. They only care about themselves. They're only in
Yeah.
this planet, on this planet, for themselves, and whatever happens to anybody else is of no it is
Consequence.
no consideration for them. Yeah.
So, we wanted to kind of touch on some things today, guys, and talk a little bit about the lunacy of mask holes, yelling at people to take them off, and elected officials saying you're damning the government, or you're damning yourself if you're not taking. This is the party of
Damning myself.
free speech, right?
I'm
Right?
of by not following their guidelines. I'm sorry, Harry Bubba. Let me see your MD in virology, please.
And those are the same people who were the ones saying everything is fine, even though the kitchen was on fire. They're the
Right.
same people who are the ones pushing that narrative when the pandemic
It,
was beginning to rage. And those of us who were acting smart, wearing masks before it became a thing to do, we see it happening, and it's hard if you were on that part of the train where you saw it coming and you tried to prevent getting it yourself. Then you see this happening again, and it's hard not to relive that same emotion, because you see we don't know enough. You see people are being careless. You see people are being pressured into going back to normal, and you're not sure if it's too soon or not.
but isn't that the way of the mask hole? It is peer pressure. They are trying to bully and peer pressure you to conform to their belief system, and that's what we've experienced in the gaslighting and vitriol and the bombast of the last 5 years. And I am just so flippin' sick of it. I will choose to do as I please, as long as I please. But you know what? I'm probably not the person they want to run into. Just saying. So
I just think if we all just leave people alone, unless they're causing harm to someone else, and I don't think that maskholes understand that. You're right, Heidi. They truly don't understand that wearing a mask helps. They really and truly believe that it doesn't, and that's
they
why
really
they're angry that we still are. You're right. You were totally
they
right on
really
that.
believe that they are honoring their orange overlord. I'm serious, Murray. To them, it's like, this is how I show my devotion to Trump and to the Republican Party, because everybody knows that viruses are truly political. Bullshit.
Girl, I know.
Bullshit.
Well, guys, tune in to us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, live on Facebook at 3 p.m. We will be having great shows coming up, but we also are going to continue this conversation in a deep dive on our independent radio show called Heartland Mamas Unrolled. And this week we will be having Dr. Amar Dave, a pediatrician from Ottawa, on to talk about his friends who have passed away after being vaccinated and working with frontline sick people. So be sure to tune in. Find us anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, YouTube, greatest place in the world, I don't know, Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com, and Demcast USA.
Be brave. Wear your mask if you want to. Nobody
Be
can stop
you.
you. And if you need a in-your-face mask, you just give me a little ring-a-ding-ding. And that's not the only bad one I have.
I think MYOB would be a good one.
Yeah.
That might be a good mask to have. All right, folks,
All right,
thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.